game. Blouses.
Gallon chuck.
Disaster.
Spaghetti.
Disaster.
Well, I mean, I'm no doctor.
We now join America's most popular show, already in progress. Everybody loves
Mitch and Sean. You guys are the greatest duo.
Fantastic.
That team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
And welcome into another edition of the Post Game Pints podcast. I'm Sean Campbell. He's Mitch Gallo. Glad you could join us for another edition brought to you by Labros Brewery. Check them out, labros.ca. Oh, man, they got some big things coming. It's their birthday. They're turning 4 very, very soon. It's probably by the time you're watching this, it's 4 already. They've got some big stuff. Alex and the whole crew, they're always thinking of something new, like the idea of the Campbell play-by-play IPA and the Angry Gallo Ale. Well, you could go and buy some more if you want. Yeah, that's right. Oop, I got the Campbell play-by-play. Gallo, you got the Angry Gallo Ale. I know that you're excited to go celebrate their 4th birthday because it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Those guys are primed and ready for the spring. That, you know what? I know it's February, but it's almost here.
Yeah, man. So excited for everything that's going to follow in the next couple months. And congrats to Labros on 4 years. And, we only got to know them recently, Sean, but it's been a great relationship so far. So I'm hoping we can be part of the next 4 years at least with them. And congrats to Labros. Once again, I'm enjoying one of my Angry Gallo Ales, as it's not late night tonight for me, so I can afford to have a little coffee in my beer.
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny because you said the relationship is new, but I also feel like a family. And I know that everybody that works there and that is there, and we've had Catherine on, we've had Dan on the podcast, and we talked to Alex. I mean, the communication is ongoing, and I do feel like family with that group. And it's funny because Alex sent us a challenge, Mitch. He sent us a challenge. Now, Alex is a pretty good hockey player. This guy got paid to play, and he took a whole bunch of Labros beer, put him on the ice, took a puck, and he kind of did his old Patrick Kane impersonation for a good 60 seconds, going in and outside the cans. And he's challenged you and I to this little bit. We're going to have to put that up, Dave. I hope you're listening. We got to put that up on the Post Game Pints YouTube page, what Alex was able to do. It was outstanding. But he's put a challenge out to you and I.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I'm willing to accept his challenge. My hockey mitts are not as good as his, clearly.
No.
The way in which I place the beers is probably going to have to be simplified and not as complicated as his was.
2 beers.
Yes, I will go between 2 beers over and over for 60 seconds without moving my feet.
How many did he have? Like 15 out there?
There was a lot. And
he was skating in them too. I was like, oh my God, don't spill the beer.
I'm going to keep it very, very simple. Or maybe even try to come up with another trick. You know what I'm going to do, Sean? And my shot, what do you call it?
It's sneaky quick.
No, but you had what were they calling Mete's shot at one point?
Oh, like a flutter ball.
Flutter ball wasn't the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Now it's going to bother me.
Are you trying to make me trying to remember how I insulted Victor Mete's shot?
Yeah, well, no, but I think it's a hockey term. And now it's escaping me. But I'm thinking I'm going to take a video. I'm going to place a Labros beer on top of a net and just video myself taking shots until I can hit it off the top and knock it off for an explosion. And I think that would be a cool video.
I hope you have enough pucks.
It might take a while.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to make sure it's an Angry Gallo Ale.
And by the way, the word I was looking for, muffin.
Yes. Oh, now I'm hungry. Speaking of muffins, our next guest. That wasn't. I don't know. But anyways, our next guest. Really looking forward to bringing him here on the Post Game Pints podcast. We've been talking about this for a while. I know that we've been bringing a lot of people that cover the Montreal Canadiens and the sports scene, and reporters and people on. But how about just someone that's just in Montreal that absolutely loves the game of hockey, and he absolutely wants to be part of the podcast. We're looking forward to bringing him on. He's not only a friend of the show, he's just a friend. Comedian Joey Elias, aka Ali G. How you doing, Joey?
Good, thanks for pointing that out. That's excellent. Yeah, I didn't realize I looked like that until the camera came on. That's great. Nothing like starting off the show looking like a douche.
You going skiing?
No, why?
Oh, just the goggles, and I don't know.
It's not goggles, man. Listen, I can't see. I'm old now, right? And you're not on the biggest screen. I can see that I can see your tat plenty well, and the fact that you look like you're waiting to be drafted in the 1992 NHL draft. That's a nice mullet. And also, you haven't gotten sponsorship yet for the hat, which is sad.
Yeah,
it is sad. Who Campbell? Pop quiz right now. Who was drafted number 1 in the 92 draft?
In the 92 draft?
Yeah.
92.
I think Dave is going to have to do us some research here.
So 92, 93 was 92 was the Falloon draft?
No, well, 92 was you remember it as the Falloon draft when Lindros went 1?
Was it? No. Sorry, that's 91 because Lindros was 91.
Okay, that's the Falloon.
So Falloon was 91.
I'm going to go on a limb.
91.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was Alexander Daigle.
That would have been.
I think that was 95.
No, because they came in at 92, 93. Alexander Daig. I'm going to go Alexander Daig. I like it.
Yeah.
But we were both wrong. Dave with the answer. Former Montreal Canadian drafted number 1.
Roman Hammerlick.
At the Forum.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. We do have a pop quiz brought to you by Cunningham's Pub a little later on. So, Joey, I hope you're thinking of. First off, Joey, thanks for coming on. Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Maybe you lost your eyesight because you've just been staring at screens like everybody else. What have you been doing?
Nothing. A whole lot of no. I've been doing
waiting for the call.
Yeah, to be youpy. Like if Gritty's got work, why can't I dress up like a giant Muppet and act like a fool? No, but that's what I've been doing is I've been acting like a fool on television once a week on Global, writing those and filming the Everyday Joes. And then some Zoom shows, that I've been fortunate enough that, Trent Dewey has set up for me. And it's awkward. I mean, listen, I'm happy to be telling jokes and being creative in that sense, but it's not nearly the same as being on a stage in front of live people. I miss that so much. And I'm sure you guys, miss going out. I mean, I miss going out just to see live entertainment, whether it be a musician or a comic or, one of you boxing.
Yeah. Well, hey, I feel fortunate that we had that brief window in the summer where we were able to do that, even though it was in smaller groups. Joey, you know that I loved going to the Comedy Nest and taking in stand-up comedy live. I love going to shows. So I'm with you, and I understand it must be tough. But at the same time, content must come pretty easily for you right about now.
It's weird because you don't want to write, like, especially for the Everyday Joes. I made a pact that I'm not going to write about COVID or the pandemic for the next little while. And I'm trying not to even use those words in those segments because I just think that people are sick and tired. Like I am. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. You turn on the news and it doesn't matter what station, or what country you're watching. That's the top story of the day still. So yeah, you just try to write about other crazy things. I mean, I can say it. I mean, I like the marijuana. and it inspires me. So I've been just jotting down a lot of ideas, working on a screenplay idea that I finally have time to sit down and write. Other than that, just trying to keep in touch with friends, through Zoom and other ways. But yeah, definitely aching for the days where, it's not just 50 people, where we can get at least, let's say 120, 150. I'm all looking for that.
It's funny, Joey, and we're going to have our segment. We're going to have a classic sports conversation, something that we have discussed it a bit, but just on the comedy front, I've seen you live so many times, and sometimes I don't even know if you write anything, because you show up and you're so good at just interacting with the crowd, and being on Zoom and not being able to interact with the crowd. I could already tell you were already poking fun at Gallo having no logo in his hat, his tattoo really right in our face right now on the Post Game Pints podcast. Like you must get on a Zoom, and right now all you want to do is make fun of Gallo and I.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's honestly, I'll crack a joke if I'm waiting in line at the pharmacy, just to see if I still have a little bit of funny for strangers. You know what I mean? And like, somebody, the cashier will laugh or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I still have a little bit left, but it's just bizarre. I mean, not talking to people is the weirdest thing. I mean, again, on Zoom calls or Zoom shows, the best thing is especially for office parties, they're all at home, so they have no idea, and a lot of times they're unmuted. I ask them to unmute so you can hear the laughter, but many a time, the dog jumps into camera, or the kid just yells something stupid or whatever. And if you pick up on that, there is some, leeway for me to interact with some crowd members, but it's not the same. It's not like where I have my go-to, you have the 3 or 4 people, and then you call back at the end if you can, and you tie it up. But there's none of that, but at least the creative juice is still flowing. I think if I just sat here doing nothing all day, that would be troublesome.
So what about the mustache? What's up with that? Like you said, I look like I'm from 1992. You got a 1976 stash going on. I'm sure Campbell's pretty proud of what you got going on, because he's a mustache man. But
I don't know if you see this.
Having that on your face, Joey.
Yeah, I've always had the goatee. It's just very gray now.
You've aged.
Really? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Bad camera lens.
Yeah, no, but look, if you want to get rid of the goatee and just go straight mustache, go for it, Joe. You can handle it.
Well, I think I would do the handlebars.
Yeah.
Just to keep that little bit of intimidation going, but no, I don't know. It's just it's very, very white.
But it's good if you go with that and the handlebars, it might even make it a little bit more like Ali G too. Maybe we could promote this show that we had Ali G on, Mitch. All right, I want to have a classic sports conversation with you, Joe. I know you love your sports. We're actually in a hockey pool together. You
shit kicked, yeah.
Yeah, you used to be Bruins 514, but I know now I believe you changed your Twitter handle to Everyday Joe.
He's got Bobby Orr in the background.
He's got Bobby Orr in the background, and you live in Montreal. I got to ask you, when it comes to the NHL, let's have this argument. What's the best sports rivalry? You don't have to go NHL. You could go in another direction. But what's the best sports rivalry out there today, in the past, wherever you want to go?
Montreal, Quebec. If you want to go old school, that is the best rivalry that ever was. I mean, I was young. I remember the Nordiques playing at the old Forum New Year's Eve. I remember being at a couple of those games with my dad before they started doing the West Coast stuff and, doing all the craziness out there. But those games, it did not matter if it, everybody says, oh, Habs and Leafs on a Saturday night. Who gives a shit? It could have been a Tuesday afternoon. And if it was Montreal, Quebec, it was because the people in the stands too, they would drive down from Quebec to Montreal and vice versa. And there was a good chance that if there was a fight on the ice, there was going to be a fight in the stands. And don't forget, back then you had standing room seats, right? People would pay just to stand and watch.
I'm old enough to remember. I did standing room at the Forum.
Those are the best
first game
seats.
with standing room.
But then, I mean, those were the guys that were going to potentially get into a fight, because they were having a few more pops than the seated people. So I think that
money
was
on the seat.
right. I think that could have been the best rivalry I've ever seen. I mean, are people talking about Florida, Tampa Bay yet?
I'm sure the NHL would love if that developed into something. Maybe a couple playoff series would do it, but I'm looking now and across sports. And by the way, I think it's a big problem with the NBA now is that you have these super teams and you have players moving all the time. I don't know if we have rivalries in basketball, and I think it's an issue with their sport. Of course, you go back to all those years ago with the Lakers and the Celtics. There was something there in the past, and even a couple Detroit rivalries when they were a really mean team in the early 90s of the NBA. But now there's nothing like that anymore.
Bad boys. Well, the thing about the NBA, I'll just say this, is that it's no longer team versus team. The rivalries is individual players versus, it's now LeBron versus Kawhi, right? Yep. For who's best in LA. And then
players are bigger than the teams.
Right. And some of them are bigger than the game. I mean, in terms of marketing and stuff like that. I mean, let's be honest, LeBron's marketing value is way higher than the NBA, and the NBA's got good value. They're not quite the NFL with a the TV deal that they have, but LeBron's making 95 from basketball, but I bet you he's making 200 million from other things and then giving away 100 million. So it's hard not to like him.
Yeah, I love LeBron James. I just wish they still had those team versus team rivalries like they once did. But I'll tell you, baseball, then, now, forever, Red Sox, Yankees, nothing tops that. And I'll always tune in for those two. Right now in hockey, I would say it's Calgary, Edmonton, because you have a couple of rats on both teams. So when those two teams play against each other, stuff tends to go down. So I'd say that's the hockey one right now. And football, we always could go classic. And you guys have teams that have a lot of rivalries, right? So Camo with the Packers, they got the Bears and the Vikings. And Joey, yourself with the Steelers, you got the Ravens and the Browns. And now that the Browns are prominent, it makes it even more fun than it was for all those years where the Steelers would beat up on them. But those are the football ones I go to right away because you guys both cheer for pretty historic teams.
Well, you're an Eagles fan, and you could just say anybody in the East if you want. It's Eagles New York, it's Eagles Washington, it's Eagles Dallas, and that's a rivalry. And that's what
but
I
everyone
like about
hates Dallas.
Yes,
right?
everybody does hate Dallas.
So but here's the thing, Mitch. I'm going to just pull you back because you were like, oh, the Packers have the Bears and the Vikings. It's the Bears and then it's the Vikings. Okay, let me just be very clear as a Packers fan. I tune in to many Bears games just to watch them lose. I don't tune in to Vikings games when they're playing the LA Rams, but I will for the Bears and cheer hard for the opposition. I don't even care where they are in the standings. To me, that's part of the rivalry, just cheering for the other team to lose. And I know for Montreal Canadiens fans, to bring it back to hockey, that's a lot what happens with the Bruins. They'll watch a lot of Bruins hockey just to watch them lose, or Leafs just to watch them suffer. We saw what happened to the Leafs and the Senators the other day. How many non-Toronto sports fans smiled because they lost to the worst team in the league?
Also, because there's a cockiness to the Leafs that, surrounds them. And it starts with the broadcasters that constantly, put out their games and stuff like that. And that's why it was sweet to watch.
Well, back up, broadcasters.
No, I mean, the Toronto broadcasters are just ridiculous when it comes to thinking that, Austin Matthews is the best player in the NHL without argument. I'm not saying he's not, but you got to argue that he's not ahead of Connor McDavid, who I think is the best player right now in the NHL.
Yeah. Well, and, I would say what you're talking about with the Leafs, it's the exact same reason why if you don't cheer for the Cowboys, you hate the Cowboys. It's the same thing. They're forced on you. There's stuff down your throat, and it tends to be annoying. I completely get where you're coming from, especially at the national level. So I get it. And guys, and as Joey mentions, Toronto, Toronto, Montreal. I think if those two play in the playoffs, which is very likely at this point, because I would say they're both going to make the playoffs, and there's only 4 teams in the playoffs in the Canadian division, right? So there's a good chance they play, and if they do, given that they play 5 of the final 8, is that the number?
The final 3 is the same. You could get if it's a first round matchup, you could get 10 straight games. Toronto and Montreal.
Yeah,
they're going to hate each other.
Well, I think they already do this year. I think any team that plays, this baseball style kind of mini playoff series every time you go up against a team, you brought up Calgary and Edmonton. I mean, there was already the Battle of Alberta, but you throw in some dirty hits this season, some, some, like you said, the shit disturbers are shit disturbing, and it gets under your skin. And eventually it's just going to explode. I don't care how zen your goalie is, you're going to have a guy just punch the guy in front of the net and just be like, yeah, this is enough. But I'm old enough to remember when, it was just seeds. There were no division. It was just play. And then, so Montreal, Toronto in the playoffs has always been fantastic. I kind of hope that, maybe this is romanticizing the old days, but when all the divisions play their first 2 rounds, and the first round, and 2 teams are eliminated, they decide to play in a bubble. And what they do is they re-rank everybody accordingly. And so you could essentially, let's say Montreal and Toronto both win the North Division. The way the rankings come out and the brackets come out, they can actually play each other in the finals. I think that's what I'd like to see.
So you're not a fan of the format?
I'm getting bored of it quick. I mean, thank God I'm in the hockey pool and I have enough, I have the NHL package, and I watch, and I flip all the games where my players are going on.
Hey, how you doing in the hockey pool?
I'm awful this year, man. Between snowstorms and COVID related delays, I think the other night I had 9 people scheduled to play and only 2 played.
Yeah, I was loving it. I'm taking on Joey this week.
Yeah.
So it's great for me. Here's the thing. I don't know whose brilliant idea it was to have a head-to-head pool during a COVID season. We should have just did point totals. Would have made way more sense.
I like the head-to-head because I'm playing a guy I've never met before.
Normally it's fine. Normally head-to-head's fine. But this season it makes no sense. Joey had 9 players missing last night. Yeah. The roster's 11.
Whatever. Deal with it.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, but seriously, until I saw the pictures, and I don't want to belittle this, but like when I heard oh, really? A winter sport is canceling, some games because of winter weather? Sons of bitches, what do you do? And then, you see the pictures of Texas and you're like, holy shit. I've been in Oklahoma. I'm not bragging, but I was down there to do shows. And they got an inch of snow, and the club owner was freaking out that nobody was going to show up. How were we going to get to the club? Yeah. And I was like, I'll get us there.
No, but driving is tough because my dad lives in Carolina. They don't get snow, but every now and then they do. And he's talking about 1 centimeter or 2, and it's a gong show. The winter tires do not exist there. Yeah. And if you've ever, even in Montreal, tried to drive in summer tires on top of this much snow, it's almost impossible. Yeah. There's a reason why you're required. All seasons you can't even have all seasons. You have to have winter tires to start moving out there. And there was a great shot. I don't know if you saw on social media, the border between Texas and Arkansas, and one state had a snowplow and one state didn't. And there's guys driving down the road and they didn't even bother. They only plowed half the street. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've seen that photo of the ceiling fan with icicles on it way too often now. Relax. One guy had icicles on his ceiling fan and everyone's losing their mind.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, if you don't follow Dan Rather, who is 89 years old, he's on Twitter, just as Dan Rather. He's 89 years old. I grew up with him pretty much as the voice of reason in broadcasting, right? And he makes so much, and he's living in Texas right now, and he's documenting this, and it's a really honest portrayal of what is going on. And he's not posting pictures or anything. He's a wordsmith.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it's him and his wife sitting in their house. They're out of power. There's no heat. And he's just giving you the play-by-play.
It just kind of feels like it's what is that movie, 2012? Oh no, The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh yeah. How did that work out for some of the idiots?
I love Dan Rather, by the way.
Yeah. Dan Rather. I love The Day After Tomorrow.
Same. I do too. I mean, I think everybody should.
Died?
I died in pretty much everything I've been in, except for commercials. And even then, it's like I could have. Like one commercial I did was Mike Patterson and we did the Hydro Quebec commercial, where we were warning people. This goes back about 5 or 6 years now, and it was all about don't touch wires with your ladder and stuff.
Yeah, don't put your finger in the socket.
Right. Ours was just like, be careful of the overhead wires. This was just about like the fall, and people were about to do some, cleaning of the leaves and all that. So, and I just remember the filming of that got delayed by like 3 weeks because we actually were filming outdoors. And so we're filming one day and we break for lunch, and the representative from Hydro Quebec is talking to Mike and I and saying, it's a good thing we're getting this done because, in like the 3 weeks that we didn't put this on the air, there have been 12 people that died from electrocution. And I kid you not, and Mike and God love Mike, he tells the story way better than I do, but he literally was kicking me under the table, like to shut up and not make fun of this, because I would have.
I'm already thinking, I'm like, yeah, that's probably something I would do. Hey, just to get back to the rivalry conversation, you mentioned Quebec City.
Yeah.
And I love that because Knuckles, who I work with, and Sergio Momesso, when you ask them, it's the first thing they say. They're like, that rivalry, and I remember watching it when I was a kid, and I want Quebec to come back, but I want Quebec to come back, and Mitch knows that I say this all the time. I want the Ottawa Senators out of Ottawa. They're not going to bring, Arizona over. Just move Ottawa to Quebec City. We already hate here in Montreal, Ottawa as a city. Now you bring the team that we make fun of all the time and bring them to Quebec City. I think it's a perfect rivalry.
Well, I think Ottawa's hated right now more because of the owner and what he's kind of, I watch what that guy's doing to the city of Ottawa. Because I have a lot of friends in Ottawa. I have a lot of people that I guess they call themselves fans, and I'm appreciative of that. Every time I go to Ottawa, they come out to the shows, and I watch a lot of Ottawa games. They're not a bad team. They play hard right now. They're young. They're inexperienced, but what that owner is doing to the city of Ottawa and their fans is very similar to what Expo fans were put through by the bullshit ownership in the last 4 years of their existence here in Montreal. And I just hope for their sake, it ends better.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you look at the last, okay, so they're selling this rebuild and having this influx of young, talented players. And Joey, you're right. It reminds me of the Expos because we were the farm system for the rest. If I'm an Ottawa fan, I'm like, okay, but we had Carlson and we had Mark Stone and we had Mike Hoffman and we had Mika Zibanejad, but now you've replaced them with Shabbat.
That's who you look
Stutzla.
like. Mika Zibanejad. That's who you look like right now.
No,
Campbell will go with Matt Zuccarello, but
Zuccarello, baby.
All right. I like Matt Zuccarello too, though. It's good luck either way.
But
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but
they've done it, and then they traded all those guys. So if I'm a Senators fan, I'm like, how do I know that when these guys finish their entry-level deals and start asking for more money, that you're not going to do the same that you did with the last generation of really that team is drafted really well. They have.
I mean, and the last time I was in Ottawa, they were so excited about Stutzla, listen, I am in for anybody that has umlauts in their name on their jersey. But seriously, you're right, Mitch. They've drafted very well. If they could just keep their coach and their GM, roller coaster from going crazy. And I'll say this, it would have been very interesting this year to see if fans were allowed to come in, what the situation would have been. Would they have been like, yeah, we have a great young team? Or oh shit, we're 1-9.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see what happened with the Senators, because a lot of people are saying this is a perfect year for the Senators rebuild for not having fans in the stands. It's the Post Game Pints podcast. Sean Campbell. Yeah.
Eugene Melnick asked if they could have 20% capacity at some point at the Canadian Tire Center, and I was seriously questioning if they'd be able to sell out those tickets.
Yeah, well, I think if that is, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but isn't he in the pharmaceutical industry? So listen to this. I bet you he's working on some secret little vaccine. No, I'm kidding. But aren't they going to use part of the arenas as vaccination centers, even in Canada?
I know a lot of the NFL stadiums are being used for that now, since they're vacated. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they look at that as well. Sure.
And I know the Olympic Stadium announced it today that they're going to use that.
Well, that's good. I think the best way to do it just is you give it to the companies, like big companies, and let them vaccinate their own people almost. Like do it as you go to work. You go to work and then you get vaccinated along the way. I know there's smaller. It might be making it too complicated.
Boy, I'll tell you, there's an easy Bell Media joke in here somewhere.
Don't touch it.
All right.
Leave that hanging fruit alone.
Yeah. Speaking of great companies, I want to tell you about woofpacks.ca. Woofpacks.ca. Mitch, I know that Vader's excited. You get a box. There's a little bit of a surprise. You just sign up. You get everything. It's a surprise almost every single month. Your first box is 20% off if you sign up today. Woofpacks. That's PACKS.ca. Proud partners here on the Post Game Pints podcast. Mitch, I know you're all excited about it.
Yeah, Vader's always pumped. He'll get his head like dug right into the box and start pulling everything out, because you get toys, you get True Toys, cookies and treats as well. So check out wolfpack.ca. It's a Canadian company as well, so support local. Yeah. And thank you to wolfpack.ca.
So that's wolfpacks.ca. Yeah, so all you puppy owners out there in the Post-Game Pints world, check it out.
I like Joey, the fact that you moved on purpose to see us, so you let us all see the dogs playing poker behind you. As you did
Wolfpacks.ca.
Yeah. Hey, Campbell.
Every podcast.
I never showed you this, and I never noticed yours. And by the way, did I say wolf? I meant Wolfpack. Wolfpack.ca.
Yeah, it's all good.
But,
how do you get there?
How about this one?
Yeah, I like it.
So you have them playing poker. I got them playing pool.
All right. I have comedians drinking.
Yeah, I like it. Speaking of comedians drinking, Joey, at the end of every Post Game Pints podcast, our guest has to go through a pop quiz. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I know you love your sports. I know that you used to be called Bruins 514. You're now, what's your Twitter handle again? Everyday
Joe MTL.
I like it. No more underscores. I hate underscores, by the way.
Yeah, I changed it for various reasons, but obviously the segment on Global, selfless promotion again, is called Everyday Joe, right? And it's every Sunday during the 6 o'clock news.
I love it. And I'm glad that at least we get to see you somewhere, because I'd love to see you at a some sort of comedy nest or restaurant, just with a microphone.
Sporting event, anything.
I know. It's and I know you're just dying to make fun of people. So,
well, I still do. But my neighbors are pretty nice.
All right. So we got about 5 minutes here. I got a pop quiz. If you want to go for some help with Mitch Gallo, you can do that. But
because you're my Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, because you are a Bruins fan, I have a pop quiz.
Oh shit.
10 players.
Yeah.
Joey, 10 players in a Bruins uniform have scored 100 points in the season. Can you name all 10 players?
There's Joey Juneau, who did it in his
rookie. I thought that was the one you were going to get. Joey Juneau.
Joey Juneau did that in his rookie year.
Wow. That was the one I was like, there's no way he's getting Joey Juneau. Boom, right off the top.
Right. Bergeron got 100.
No, see, you're already with a wrong answer. Come on, Joe.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think. So Joey Juneau played with Cam Neely.
Cam Neely never got 100 with the Bruins.
Really? That's terrible.
That's 2 wrong answers.
But I'm trying to remember now. And
Joey,
again,
there's some obvious ones. Just get rid of the obvious ones.
What?
I can see what
100 points?
Yeah, 100 points in the season. There's 10 players that did it.
Esposito.
I can see one of the answers right now. I can see it.
There's Bobby.
Yeah. Okay. So Bobby Orr, he did it 6 times.
You got one more too. I think you missed it, Campbell.
Who?
He said Esposito.
Oh yeah, Espo. He did it 6 times too.
10 player. I'm focusing in on who played with Joey Juneau, and I can't remember right now, and it's driving me friggin' nuts.
Yeah.
I'm so tempted to say Sergei Samsonov also, but he never got 100 points.
No, I'm just curious. When did you become a Bruins fan? Because these are awful answers.
When did I become a Bruins fan? When they fired Randy Cunningworth.
Okay.
When they literally publicly went public and said, we care about politics and language, more about winning. I went, well, I'm not going to say what I said, but I said it. And then my favorite player at the time, really, and growing up, was Cam Neely. I just love the fact that this guy can score 50 goals, and 200 penalty minutes. I mean, Shanahan did that also, 50 goals and 200. So back to the Bruins thing. You have three,
and we got 3 minutes to do this. Let's go.
Do you remember who played on the line with Juneau, Mitch?
Who played on the line with Juneau?
Yeah.
I could give you the same era. I have a pretty good guess, but I think Juneau played center, right? Or was he a winger?
I don't know what they used him as on his rookie year.
Okay, because if he was a winger, I'm going to guess maybe Adam Oates helped him get 100 points.
Adam Oates had a 142-point season with the Bruins. He did it twice. Adam Oates is a very good answer.
I forget that Adam Oates was on the Bruins because everybody just remembers him with the St. Louis. St. Louis. What am I, 105? The St. Louis. Yeah. Look at us doing the Zoom on the television.
All right, Ali G, you need 6 more. You got 4.
6 more. All right, I'm going to go back a little bit more. Milt Schmidt.
Nope.
Oh, wait a minute.
Not Milt Schmidt.
Not Milt Schmidt?
No.
Joey, who centered Samsonov?
Can I just go off topic? Everybody takes a poop on Galchenyuk. Take a look at Samsonov, man. That's an even sadder story.
He got fat.
Yeah, he got fat.
No, but where does your skill go? That's my question. At least Galchenyuk is still wanted, Anyway, sorry, there was a big mirror behind you that I saw the light for a second. I thought I died.
All right, so you got Esposito, Oates,
Rick Middleton.
Middleton did it twice. Very good. You're halfway there.
Peter McNabb.
No, I need some more old-timey names and two guys that are still playing.
2 guys that are still playing.
2 guys still playing and 3 old-timey guys.
Marchand.
Yes, he got 100 points.
And Pasternak.
No, not Pasternak.
All right, hold on. I'm going to go old-timey.
Joey, who played with Samsonov? You ignored me before.
I try to ignore you all the time. No, I'm kidding.
Worst trade in Bruins history.
No, the Bobby Orr for nothing was the worst.
Worst trade in Bruins
history. All right,
history.
I know we have like a minute, so what are the answers? I'll buy you guys a beer.
Mitch, go.
Well, you're missing Thornton.
Joe Thornton had a 101-point season with the Bruins.
Shit.
And I need 3 old-timey players. One guy was traded for Cam Neely.
Ray Bourque?
No.
Ray Bourque never had 100 points?
Someone who was traded for Cam Neely.
Oh, Marcus Naslund?
No.
Marcus Naslund was traded for
all right, I'm going to give you first names. You ready?
Johnny Busick.
That's one. The guy that traded, Barry
Trotz.
Peterson. Barry Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know who that is. So.
And Ken.
Exactly.
Sorry?
Hodges.
Ken Hodges.
Well, how's that for your entertainment value?
They've done their job very, very well.
Awesome!
No.
Come on.
VB